standard and of a level that would produce the kind of the potential and possible sources of funding to put setting up tertiary institutions. I wouldn't.
And that is why to research, to investigate, and to do a lot of live research, or rather what you call internet search, is a sure way of knowing, what particular corporates stand for, whether foreign or local. Then of course you have foreign and local charities, who, desire to help as much as possible. I tell you this, when the corona, 2020, when the corona broke out, whilst a lot of people went into hiding, I will just keep the names of these countries, just for the purposes of, confidentiality. But there are two countries in the world, and those two countries in the world, incidentally, close to 55% of the entire charity that went outside the UK in 2021 went to those two countries. Now, whilst the corona was on, these two countries had, their, local charities in the UK who were now going around and, getting aid and, putting things in place, all to ship to their respective countries. So whilst most of us went into hiding, they used the opportunity. And the corona period is one period where, the highest givings have really come, because it was a period where a lot of people felt that, okay, you know what, life is over. So as a result of that, we want to, do our best, to, give out as much as possible. All right. So it's important for us to note at this time that we would have been able to, reap a substantial amount of funding, or we will be able to reap a substantial amount of funding, if, we go searching for them. All right. And that undertakes research. It takes time, okay, to be able to do that successfully. Then, of course, we have crowdfunding. There are crowdfunding platforms, which just, are wonderful for social impact projects. And some of those names we'll share with you subsequently, for those who have attended this session. Then, of course, you have sub-development loans we're looking at the social enterprise sector. For example, the health sectors, you need soft development loans. If you really want to establish, a health sector a health facility, that would, last for a very long time. You don't go for the cutthroat loans, which the banks give. Such, you need soft, development loans, and some of these loans can be, gotten from most of the development banks, both local and international. Then you have the solicited and unsolicited grants from local, and international development and donor organizations. Of course, there are a myriad, there is a list of such organizations. All we need to do is to research. We're talking about the USAIDs, we're talking about the DFIDs, we're talking about Australia Aid. Incidentally, Australia Aid is a place where, social impact project operators ignore. But I will tell you, you can actually get a lot from there, especially if your project is well put together. All right. Then you have the individual funders mailing list. Now, if you were to do a gala, for example, you need, your individual funders mailing list. So what that will do basically is that you need to harvest. You need to harvest. You need to develop a mailing list. You need to go search, for information, and the kind of people, who ordinarily would support your social impact project. Then, of course, the setting up of endowment funds. Any institution that wants to be perpetual must have endowment funds. If you don't have endowment funds, then the truth of the matter is that you just want to be around for a couple of years. And most such businesses, such non-profits, social enterprise, and non-governmental organizations, sometimes they die with the founders, they die with the promoters. All right. Now, if you have the vision to ensure that whatever projects you're running or whatever organizations you are running can, be sustainable over a substantial amount of time, think about setting up endowment funds. At Peniel Doxa Consulting, we offer the services of, training our clients, to set up endowment funds, to set up fundraising and financing offices. What we do is that we can, assist you to design appreciably well the kind of financing package that will suit what you want to do. Okay. Sometimes, like I said at the beginning, the mismatch of strategies can sometimes cost us our projects. Yes, some people are into farming, some are into production, some are into microfinance and the rest of it. I'll tell you this, in most cases, you don't need maybe one track or one form of financing alone. You can mix them. All right. You can mix your downstream. You can get a different form of financing for your downstream and a different form of financing for your upstream. All right. So you need to design your fundraising strategies that align with the nature and the scale of your social impact project. You need to explore various avenues such as individual donations, corporate sponsorship, grants, and foundations, and so on. I mean, the list which we have just looked at now. You need to tailor your approach to each potential donor or investor, highlighting how their contribution will directly contribute to achieving the project goals. All right. Like I said, in Nigeria, the new president of Nigeria, President Tinubu, came out with an announcement 3 days ago, and he said the government of Nigeria will no longer subvent universities in Nigeria. Now, these universities have not one day have they declared a surplus since they were set up. They've all been depending on government subventions. What is going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine. All right? Okay. So now, and do I support the president? Yes, I do. I support the president of Nigeria 100%. And I support any president who will say, education, should not be subverted by government. All right? Schools should learn how to harvest their own funding. Largely, they should do that. You understand? And what that will do for every institution is that it will push every institution to excellence. If Harvard is sitting on an endowment of close to $50 billion as of today, Yale University is doing about $46 billion. Princeton and the rest, like they are doing, about 30-something billion dollars, and they are all getting 5% payout from that endowment funds on a yearly basis. I think whatever principles that got those institutions to where they are today are the same principles our institutions here should begin to learn. Because the waste is too much. The lack of creativity is too much. The lack of excellence is too much. Some people are just sitting down, in the comfortable confines of their offices, and everybody's expecting subventions from the top, the center. And these are things which, to a very, very large extent, are undermining our entire developmental processes, all across our sub-region. So we need to get thinking. We need to get thinking.